Ford.com. Stock number T7068, T7064, T7067 with approved credit. Prices after Ford factory rebate.
Get ready for summer and the lake season at Hammers.
Welcome to Between the Lines. We're here tonight with Mayor Warren Gooch. I would argue that our highest rated show ever was with Mayor Gooch a year ago when we were talking about pools and other things, and been about a year. And he's here to check in and let us know everything Oak Ridge. We're going to talk about budgets, pools, water towers, politics, everything we can talk about. I think everybody feels like Oak Ridge is moving in the right direction, but it's always good to have some details and some directions. And if you haven't been downtown in Oak Ridge, and you need to come in if you're in Anderson County or anywhere else in Clinton, because there are some great stores there. If Hollywood will produce some movies, we'll fill that place up too. But I went with my buddy and we watched the Tom Cruise show there, you know, and that was a good show. Full house. It doesn't take much, but.
Well, the Elvis movie is friggin' amazing.
Is it pretty? Yeah. When I was young and I'd travel on the road, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, all of them, I would have gone in there and paid $10 to sleep in that chair for 2 hours before I rest and go back out, rather than going back to the hotel. I mean, that is an amazing experience. And now you can order everything on the phone. You can go in the line. I'm a Cinema Club member. During COVID, I think I got 22 free ones I paid every month. Okay. So I go in, right? And what do you got? It's a great town. Go in, they bring your food to your chair if you wanted to. Unbelievable. Well, Oak Ridge is moving in the right direction. It's getting easier. And when you're getting older, easier's good. So anyway, we're going to talk about Oak Ridge. The Wandells still hold the record because you got to take, Kelly was on, right. The UT grad student, talking about younger trends in the country. Okay. And then Tracy was on. So you combine, the Wandell family has a lot of people here too, and we love them.
Commissioner Wandell's done a
great job. Super job. I mean, I'm just glad he's still willing to serve, because you know.
Well, and let me say this: talking about commission, I think the Oak Ridge City Government and Oak Ridge City Council has the best relationship it's had with Anderson County Commission in years.
Oh yeah, I think so. With the Oak Ridge Commissioners.
Even overall.
Yeah.
And so that's.
It's funny how prosperity, in some ways, overrules party and partisan and politics. When you're moving and doing good, it's the internet tax changed the world. Yeah. We all getting that $300,000-400,000 a month now. So I tell them, they don't even fight over there anymore. Yeah, you need two, take two. It's unbelievable. But Tracy's been a good watchdog on our budgets and different things, and he's done good in federal. Him and Chuck Fleischman work together, just like you and Congressman Fleischman did. And he's represented the county and some of those delegations. And we're lucky to have him in Anderson County. We really are. So we were talking about TV, though. That's it. So we got council elections coming up.
That's right.
You're on the ballot this time?
I've qualified this week to run for re-election to City Council. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to the campaign, talking about what we have accomplished over the last 8 years and what our goals are moving forward. If my fellow citizens of Oak Ridge see fit to return me to City Council, I'll also be seeking another 2-year term as mayor. As most people know, City Council elects the mayor every 2 years. So we have 4 members of council whose terms are up in this
Define
election.
Who they are.
That would be myself, Vice Mayor Chin, Ellen Smith, and Kelly Callison.
Okay.
And then 2 years from now, the other 3 members, Chuck Hope, Derek Hammond, and Jim Dotson, if he's not elected state representative, will be up for re-election.
Does he have to give the job up if he wins?
I think he does.
I didn't know that.
I think he does.
It's in the charter, right?
Yes, that's in the charter.
Okay, I don't think there's a state rule on that. That might be a local rule.
Yeah, I think it's a charter.
I think he'd gladly give that up. I think, you know, I've been at this a long time in Oak Ridge, grew up here, and I've been back active since the mid-'90s, and I can't remember a better time. We struggled with the DOE and the Boeing move-outs, and I can remember Dick Grant telling an audience back then, you better diversify, you better get something done, because everybody's not going to be here forever. And I think we've done well with the plants. We found other missions, we've done things, and certainly Y12 and CNS and ORNL and UT have done a good job.
And the UPF facility is not only a game changer for Oak Ridge in terms of federal investment, but also in terms of enhancing national security.
Very much so, and that's you're in my job area, and we've been spent some time in D.C. and here, and we need more funding. We got to have it because there's a lot of security issues.
There's a lot of things going on in the world, but also as it relates to just cost in general.
That's right.
In terms of whether you're building a car, building a house, building a nuclear weapons plant.
That's right. That's all. And inflation's there, and it's not going to get any cheaper. We need to get it built.
And so it's very important for the citizens of Oak Ridge and all the elected officials to vocally support the DOE missions and the funding for the DOE missions. It's more than just the economic benefits to the city and the county and the region. It's important to the future of the country.
There's no question that the developments in Ukraine and the developments always in China and the competition, having control of our uranium supply is very important.
Right.
And I think that's where we are.
Well, let me mention a couple of things
Go
too,
ahead,
because
please.
it's been very, very busy June. We have obviously finished the city budget, and as part of that budget, there's no tax increase.
No tax increase.
And actually, the tax rate for the city is about 14 or 15 cents lower than it was when we were elected. The current council was elected. Now, obviously, part of that has been appraisals and the value of property going up.
Sure.
That doesn't mean your taxes necessarily go up. Some people's go up, some people's go down.
Yeah.
But overall, appraisals of property have gone up. There's a very interesting statistic that I received today as I was trying to do a little research. So in 2015, the total value of building permits, whether it was houses, commercial, whatever.
Existing and new.
New projects,
Okay.
new constructions in calendar year 2015.
Okay.
The total value, the cost of those projects was $23 million.
Commercial and residential.
Commercial, residential, business, whatever buildings,
Right.
whatever project.
Now you're going to give us a new number.
23 million.
Okay.
By the end of this year, it is projected that community development will issue permits for projects totaling $230 million.
Now,
That's a tenfold
take the
increase.
government's mission out of here. How
That's
much?
not the government's.
Where's the money coming from? Who's building?
Well, you've got Main Street, you've got
Okay.
new residential, you've got new commercial, you've got projects going all over.
You think that's
the city.
230? Okay. How much of that would you guess, and I know you don't know this figure, is west of Country Club? How much of it is new development on that side?
I don't know, but it's
a big number.
substantial
Yeah, it
at
is.
the preserve, and the growth on the west end of the city continues.
We
And,
had,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. We had, last week, we had Mr. Cresswell on, Wade, and he lives in the preserve, I believe, and we were talking about development out there and stuff, and so it's a growing area. It always was. We just finally getting it going. What about the airport?
Well, the airport continues, the work continues to move forward on that. The state, in its budget that was just completed earlier this spring, allocated $11 million toward the airport. That's over and above what would come if it's built from the Federal Aviation Administration.
What's the cost of the airport?
I'm not.
Roughly.
It's probably going to be, $50 million.
Okay.
Something.
That makes sense.
But
Everything's $1 million.
But again, those studies are moving forward. Environmental studies, engineering studies, and I think that we will probably see public hearings, public meetings on the environmental impact of the airport, which is we have to do those. That those will start sometime this fall. So that's the latest update on the airport. People, are obviously interested, and it's a slow process. But again, Oak Ridge is the only city in the state with a population of over 30,000 people that doesn't have a general aviation airport.
Yeah.
So it's
and to make that clear, we're talking about aviation. You're not a ticket counter for American.
No,
we're talking
we're not,
about private jets, so that it'll enhance companies' interest. A lot of people won't locate where they can't get an airplane into. They lose time going into Knoxville or whatever, and they have to.
And there are a lot of people that own either shares of airplanes or have their own airplanes.
Right.
So we have a lot of pilots in Oak Ridge. And speaking of the population of Oak Ridge, you said moving forward, I think it's important to note that in the last census we've now grown to 31,400 people.
Took us 4 decades, but we broke 30.
So we broke we broke 30, and quite frankly, I think the population, is continuing to move up.
Yeah.
So that's important, both in terms of population across the city, East End, Midtown, and clearly on the West End.
People need to understand we're landlocked on a lot of fronts. So we're landlocked on the Knoxville side with the bridge. We're landlocked on the Quentin side, and we're landlocked in the north. So we got to go west. If we're going to grow exponentially,
we're long and narrow, So
that's where we are.
It's the city.
Yeah, you get a map, it goes
city
long,
runs
right?
19 miles.
Yeah.
So from Elza Gate to the preserve.
Yeah.
So,
that's a long time.
Yeah.
Because even we're doing marketing efforts in political stuff, you go from one end of East Drive to the other, it's 9 or 10 miles. It's a long way.
That is correct.
It is different. And you don't see that very often. That's like going from UT campus all the way out to Turkey Creek, and it's a long, narrow, and it was purposeful. General Groves needed a secure area. He had natural terrains to secure our mission here in the 40s, and that's the way it worked.
And the facilities were protected from storms. So they were all in different areas of the city. So if there was a tornado, if there was very inclement weather, then they weren't in the same location.
Amazing. It's an amazing history. Yeah, they did a lot of work. I mean, you read the history and see the movies and stuff. It was on the other night. The Manhattan Project was on History Channel or something the other night. I can't remember.
So again, we finished the budget for fiscal year 2023, which starts tomorrow.
Yep.
July the 1st is the start of the new fiscal year. We included a 5% increase in compensation.
Good.
For all of our city employees.
I think the county did the exact same number.
And we also gave each full-time employee $1,000 net bonus.
One time.
One-time bonus.
Good.
And that was done, I think, this past week. And part-time employees received a $500 net bonus. So
yeah, and it's a catch-up game. I mean, people have gone a lot of time when we were struggling without getting stuff done. Let's take a short break, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about some different issues facing Oak Ridge.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
DEPR.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place, and instead of what you came for, you found this? What would you do? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral. or go to samhsa.gov/knowtherisks.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
Welcome back. We're talking with Mayor Warren Gooch, and the fiscal year ends tonight. There's all kinds of years. You know, there's the calendar year, and then there's the federal year, which ends September 30th. Then there's the state year that ends June 30th.
And the city of Oak Ridge.
The city of Oak Ridge is local government.
That's right.
I mean, that's the same thing. So we got a lot going on there, and we got a lot of different budget items. Let me revert back. We'll come back. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, let me mention a couple other budget items because we're in the fiscal year.
Yeah.
We have, I think we're going to end up with final numbers, the highest fund balance that we've had in many years. The sales tax collections that have been reported, now they run two months behind, but at least through the 10 months of the fiscal year that we've received, we're actually a little bit ahead, not much, but a little bit ahead of last year in terms of sales tax collections. And sales tax collections last year were the highest in the history of Oak Ridge. So again, I'm hoping that these last 2 months will at least break even with last year, so that we'll, again, if we don't set a new record, we won't be far behind the record.
Let me explain to the Between the Lines viewer how this works. This is what's happening. You know, we used to say shop Anderson County, shop Oak Ridge. It's still valuable to do that, but in terms of budgeting and revenue, it doesn't matter anymore. The technology is caught up with it. So you call Amazon, you order a $500. My wife bought a $2,300 pool thing from Walmart somewhere, or Amazon somewhere. But that tax dollars, those local office tax dollars get billed in there and get back to the city. We weren't always able to track that in the old days. So Tennessee started distributing those a couple of years ago. Sales taxes boomed. So every dollar you spend, whether it's on the internet or anywhere. Now, if you drive to Knoxville, we don't get that money.
That's correct.
You either got to get it on the internet or you got to buy it here to benefit our community. I want to make that clear. But there's been a big boom because they're tracking and monitoring sales tax revenue through technology from all along the...
And I think with the development of Main Street and the additional stores that have come online, and there's going to be some more, that we see people, again, coming in to shop in Oak Ridge that had traditionally shopped here, but because we didn't have any options, they went to Knoxville or they went somewhere else. And so every place I go, somebody says, you know, Mayor, I'm spending money in your city. You know, I thank them. And we want them to have options. Main Street will continue to develop. I think Wilson Street, which is going to be a development of mixed-use businesses, whether it's residential, whether it's commercial, whatever, is going to develop up and down Wilson Avenue, which is immediately adjacent to Main Street and runs in front of the Marriott Hotel and the Museum of Science and Energy. So that's going to be one of our goals in the next 4 years with council, is being sure that the development of Main Street and particularly Wilson Street moves forward. The zoning is there, that it's in place. There are developers who have made proposals to the land bank, which owns several acres up and down Wilson.
Wilson
Street.
runs
from Rutgers,
Kume Restaurant and Marriott,
right,
all the way over to Right there where you
Tulane.
turn. Tulane, yeah. But
Across the street.
I was 50 before I knew where Tulane was.
Yeah,
I lived here
across
every day of my life.
across,
you know,
across
but all,
from City
all
Hall.
the way back, to the theaters, right there where you turn left, right across from the municipal building. But that little stretch has a lot of valuable land on it.
Oh yes, and it has the ability to do things where people can experiment with new projects and mixed use, and that's really what we want to see happen, as well as parks will be built in, pedestrian walkways, bicycle lanes.
Tell us about the new building over there behind Penny's. That's the storage facility. Looks more like a Hilton.
Well,
what's the idea? How's it going to work?
Well, it's going to be
different size storage or all the same?
Well, it has multiple
temperature controlled. I know.
Absolutely temperature controlled. I'm not sure exactly.
Inside storage.
All inside.
Yeah, you
all
can tell.
All inside, and I think it certainly has enhanced that part of the back of Main Street, as well as up and down, Rutgers.
Inside, and everybody was worried about it, but it looks a really beautiful building. But inside storage, people are saying you can't store your tractor there, or your car, or anything really large, right? It's basically you're walking into a hotel office building type facility, and there are storage units you open up, and they're 20 by 20 or whatever. And how do you get your stuff in there? Elevator or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have
multiple floors. Yeah.
Well, you get in there, you open it up, and you stick your storage in there.
I mean, I haven't toured it yet.
Will it be business storage, or will it be? I know it's open to everybody, but
both.
Individuals.
Oh yeah. The estimates are it'll be it'll fill up very, very quickly.
When is it opening?
I think by the end of the year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
This fall, that'd be great. So if I yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. What's the value on that bill? No tax abatements, or what's it? Are they paying? I mean, a small abatement, I understand, but
no, that's
to generate tax revenue.
Yes, that's absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. As it relates to the value of the property and adding, additional value to the property.
Yeah.
I don't think there's sales tax on storage.
No, there
but again, of a piece of property that was at one time worth $60 million and then went down to $6 million before Realty Link came in and developed it.
All of this is helping it go back.
Right.
That's all helping it go back. Tell us what's going on with the swimming pool. It was a big controversy last year. It was okay. They took the off year to work at it. So basically, there was a leak apparently, or something that was causing us to spend a lot of water.
And I don't have the report
That's okay.
On the geotech study, but it's been completed. And it's
We're not losing water.
My understanding is they're going to take those results to the Recreation and Parks Board for their recommendations on what needs to happen next.
So nothing's been prepared yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And because they needed to do the study to be sure.
Couldn't get it all done in 4 or 5 months. I got it. Yeah.
And then I think they're completing a survey with folks in Oak Ridge, 400-person survey or whatever, about what they like about the pool, what changes they would like to see, and so that will also go to the Recreation and Parks Board. Clearly, we the pool is, as people describe it, is iconic, and
yeah, I grew up in that pool every day, and swimming to the raft and back when you got to be 10, and going off the high board or hanging around on the beach up on the thing. It was just a different kind. It was a big place.
Well, and again, we still have the same difficulty as it relates to keeping it open later in the summer because we simply don't have the lifeguards. So when the colleges go back to school, and clearly when our public schools start back, we'll have to shut it down, but that'll be
Labor Day.
Probably Labor Day.
Mid-August, Labor Day. It's always been Labor Day pretty much. Maybe a few weeks early last year, et cetera. So we've got the pool's working, it's open, people are enjoying it. We're going to try to do some modifications at some point after the Parks looks at the study. And this winter or next winter or whenever, we're going to get on that. So we're dealing with it. I'm trying to think about the pool stories, but I mean, it's never been. There was a big rumor they wanted to close down. Rick made some comments, which I thought were budget sound, and he wanted to look at different options, and everybody goes nuts. And I just think that the intent of council and the intent of recreation was always to repair it and make it work.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, it was the biggest pool in the South, fourth biggest in the country, and in the 70s, and 60s, 70s. So it is a landmark, I think, and probably a historical landmark.
Well, we got a historical marker over there right now.
See how I'm doing, folks? See, I picked up on that right away. That's how busy I am. I didn't even know there was a historical marker over there.
Oh yeah. Well, we had.
Last time I was in there, me and Charlie got out of our car and went.
You could walk across the parking lot here and see it. It's just so.
I joke. We just got out of our cars, our Corvairs, and ran in the building. It was funny. Okay, so what about schools? Let's talk about schools. We're going to break here. Let's take a break. Let's go ahead and break, Brad. Brad's here helping Chandler tonight. Chandler's in charge. But let's take a 2 or 3 minute break, and then we'll start in on schools. Thank you for watching.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is my husband, Alex Hesse. Alex is about 2 weeks away from coming home.
I was point man on foot patrol, and I stopped on the bomb. Lost my legs, my left hand, in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
Come watch Alex take on this mountain. That's what this is all about.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex has conquered this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
Look at that smile! You did it!
But there's more to be done, and more victories to be won.
This has meant so much.
Thank you, DAV.
Alex Hesse, thank you for your service. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Always ready, always there. Visit NationalGuard.com to find out more.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or Adult Protective Services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Welcome back. We're talking to Mayor Warren Gooch here on Between the Lines, and we're talking about all things Oak Ridge tonight and the impact it's having on everybody around. And we have all kinds of good news. And we want to talk about the schools a second. Been somewhat controversial over the last few years, not in terms of your oversight or your mercy, but you know, COVID was very difficult for the schools, and I didn't envy any of them. And I thought they did. Well, there was a few things. Like Keys was on here, and he said, no, we're not going to do this. And 2 weeks later, he was out of town on a conference, and they backdoored him. But other than that, they handled it about as well as you can handle it.
Oh, I think so.
And I say that for a lot of schools. They did a good job. But how are new schools, difference? Garfield's gone. Garfield went to Knox County, so he's gone.
Right.
And they promoted the guy who was Caleb's sophomore principal or whatever, vice president. He's a wonderful guy. I like that guy. I mean, I don't know him, but he handled the one academic issue I had. He was very, very helpful with Draymond Hawkins.
And we'll have a new, I think, new principal at Robertsville.
Oh, will we?
Yeah.
Who's leaving?
And the principal's.
I got that, but I don't know the name and everything.
Well, I forgot.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So again, a change there.
But in any event,
what are you looking at?
Well, I think the population, the school population, has continued to increase some.
Yep.
That flattens out, then it increases again. But the school system itself has, a very intricate process where they can track and predict where new students are going to be living, what the number of students, whether it's elementary students,
based on their metrics and their backgrounds.
based on their metrics, and so they continue to monitor that, and if the growth continues in the city, and we hope it does, then the school board will have to make a decision, and along with city council, to approve it, but whether we add on to existing elementary schools or perhaps build a new elementary school.
I would think you'd have to roll to. I would think if we built anything new, it'd be in the west.
Oh, I think. Oh, yes, yeah.
Like by Oak Hills or somewhere out there,
Yeah.
we'd have a different school. Because I was looking at Roane County election. I mean, they've got 5,000 voters out there now.
That's
It's
exactly
huge.
right. Yes,
it's huge. We've had them split precincts and do stuff. So
and see, it's all. And you're also.
Can Linden handle all those kids?
Also, you got the preserve and the number of families that are moving in there, younger families, with children, and that's a.
What's the attraction of the preserve?
Just because its location and.
Is it on the lake?
Parts of it are.
Okay.
Parts of it are. But then again, depending on where people work, which directions they're going.
That's a good point.
It was.
How many people live in the preserve? I know you don't know exact numbers, but the preserve has 100 families, 400 families.
I'm not sure, Alan, but it's growing.
I hear about it almost every week. Somebody talks about it.
Yeah,
and they're usually executives from the plants, which is nice because they never lived here before.
They did, but hopefully
back in the 40s. And
hopefully they're coming.
I lived in Cedar Hill neighborhood growing up, and Alvin Weinberg lived down at the end of Moylan.
Right.
Russell lived over off Delaware. She was a Nobel Prize winner. We just had a great neighborhood. Charlie Ergen's father helped invent stealth radar in the 40s. I mean, we had just this brain trust, man. It was great. It was great.
And but again, the school system is continuing to look at that and project, and that would be a good problem to have, quite frankly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
New families, new children. But
we might need a school.
That's positive.
Where are those kids going now, Linden?
Yeah, Linden and Robertsville.
So Linden's population should be pretty high.
Yeah, and.
I could see a new school for Robertsville. I'm a Jefferson guy, but I could see a new school for Robertsville.
Well, but Robertsville's gotten a lot of improvements too.
Yeah, it has. Jefferson, we got the same building I moved into in 8th grade. Yeah,
and
so, same grade. But I would appreciate not spending too much money on Robertsville because on our side of town we really don't care. But I'm just joking. But
well, that's going to be left up to the school board.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get a new school board this year too. Maybe the same, maybe different.
Right,
but there's only one possible replacement. So I think they've done a good job. And what are you going to do? I mean, they've been faced. I don't like to pick people, but I really like Erin Webb. Is that her name right? Is that I got Webb right?
Erin Webb.
She's a very good thinker, diverse, and I don't pay much attention. I didn't even know there was I used to do landmarks for Ranch County. I didn't even know there was one across the street. Don't listen to my opinion on anybody. Yeah, don't listen to mine on anybody.
Yeah, unveiled it in May. So.
Has it only been there that long? I feel better.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 3 years. I hadn't seen it.
No.
Well, that'll help.
It was unveiled, and it was.
It should have been. It's been there 60 years. It was unique. I mean, it was a great attraction for us. So.
And.
Anyway, go ahead. Talk to me one more about school. So we got increasing school population gradually.
Yes.
In what areas? High school bigger? It's not much bigger.
High school's about the same, but again, elementary schools and I think more students in the middle schools. So, But again, it's funny. It varies. I mean, it's up and down.
But you think Anderson County has three schools?
But the trend continues to be
good, positive way, et cetera, et cetera. And when they come to you and they bring you a budget, what are they saying? I mean, is Keys telling you, here's where we have needs and here's what we're doing, here's why we spent money here?
Well, they present their budget and
joint session,
and we approve it, and our contribution from city tax dollars is basically the same in this next fiscal year as it was this year, and we provide about $19 million of their total budget. And
what is their total budget?
It's going to be, let's see, their total budget for next year is going to be $78 million.
Okay.
And so we're providing the city out of its tax revenues about 24%.
Well, that's why we pay what we pay.
Right.
For a school
and
system.
And then Anderson County and Roane County provide another 32% of the funding.
You know, that's interesting you mention that, because really our population is going up in Roane County, not Anderson.
And then the state provides the rest, and the federal government provides maybe 4 or 5%, but we don't get near as much federal funding as other school systems around.
4 elementary schools, right? Yeah. So we got Glenwood, Woodland. We got Glenwood. We got Woodland. We got Linden and what am I missing? It's got to be in the west, right?
It is.
What used to be Willowbrook?
Willowbrook.
That's it.
Willowbrook.
I thought Willowbrook's
I'm sorry.
still there. That's
Yeah.
right. So go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so that's good. I mean, so we got 4, 2, and 1. That makes sense. That's a feeding system. Right. 2 feed one, 2 feed the other one. It's changed around a little bit when they redistrict a little bit, but it's been good. Okay, so another big story, and one we.
But again, I want to compliment the school board and their management of a very difficult year, management of the budget, and again the teachers and the staff. I mean, they're doing a great job. Our schools are highly rated, and.
But let me play the other side of that one, because academic learning is down, and it not because of anything our staff did, but COVID and masks, and I'll leave masks alone, but COVID and all the other stuff. We've got a bunch of kids who have learned how to make stuff up at the end of the semester. I'm around it. They've done everything. I don't think it impacts the really high academic, but they tell me, it's the best science teacher over there, my son was advanced, said it's been hard to catch up.
Right.
So what I'm worried about is that 4th, 5th, and 6th grader who went through this for 2 years, are they going to be prepared to do well and score well? And that's why not only us, but all of our scores are down across the state. That concerns me, but that's okay. My son came out in 8th grade, just a top-notch honor student, and some of his friends did, and they just got to where they couldn't do their work.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully they got back in a regular pattern by the end of the year. And so hopefully when we start back, the first week in August? Mm-hmm. That's not too far.
No, July 25th.
It's they'll be back on a regular basis, and I think that'd be positive.
Are we still? What's the word I'm looking for? We're still on block schedule, which I kind of like. I kind of like the block where you get all one course in a semester and start another course.
I think so.
Other people don't like it. I mean, language teachers hate it. And I understand that. They're the ones that pay the price, and there's some other things. But I kind of like it. I mean, I like it from my son's perspective. But I understand there's problems with it, too. And some teachers retired because of it, I know. But that's the way it is always. You got changes and different things. But I don't know. Maybe you retain learning. I'm not an expert. You'd have to leave that to the people that know what they're doing on that stuff. So one area of great need in this city is we have a risky water supply situation.
We do.
Because the plant, which was originally built, folks, you know, when you're going out to Y-12 or it's up on top of the mountain there. You can see it from anywhere in Oak Ridge.
And the intake, the raw water intake from the river is about 2.5 miles away.
That's right.
So it's pumped from there up to the processing facility that's above Y-12. And so we have had the plans approved by the state and by the Environmental Protection Agency. And so we have the State Revolving Loan Fund that is going to provide $30 million in funding, and the WIFIA loan fund from EPA that's going to provide another $20 million, and it's been sitting there waiting for the state to put theirs in. Oak Ridge was a year and a half ago was the smallest city in the country to receive WIFIA loan funds for upgrades in water systems. And so we hope to go out to bid for the water plant probably by the 1st of August. Hopefully get the bids in September, make a decision, and be able to break ground soon after.
And I know you...
and before, and again, I want to compliment Congressman Flashman, because in last year, or this year's budget that's just ending, federal budget, he was able to secure a grant for $3 million, which helps reduce the city's financing burden of that. And I think he's hopeful that he's going to be able to get additional money this year, again, which reduces the total amount of loans.
Did I hear something about $5 million or something?
Yeah.
Maybe coming?
So,
and you and him been working on this since day one, 2 years ago together.
And so we've everybody's worked very hard on this. It has to be done. You take water for granted until something goes wrong. Now that's the plant in terms of the water plant itself.
Okay.
We will continue to have challenges related to the underground infrastructure and the pipes in the city, many of which are still 75 years old.
Sure.
And so we'll continue to work on that. We got to work on the loss of water once it comes out of the plant, because again, we're now pumping it almost 19 miles all the way to the preserve.
How does not having any rain for 3 weeks affect us? Not much?
I don't think it does.
Heavy rains affect us. Storm drain.
Right. Yes. But we'll continue to work on infrastructure, both in terms of wastewater, stormwater, sewer, the water system itself, obviously, and upgrades to our electrical grid. Because again, that's an issue, and we know it is from one end of the town to the other. But we're working on that as best we can.
Why did our electric rates go up so high last year? I mean, they were a big jump for us, wasn't it? It was like 20% or 30%. Maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that would have been.
I'm sure it's infrastructure.
That would have been tied to what the TVA rates were, because we pass on whatever the cost is to us from TVA. If we buy all of our electricity from TVA, we don't add any percentages.
Well, if you need
to
a new plant or you need a new building, sometimes you got capital costs that require. If I remember correctly, it had to do with extending lines to the west for development. That there were electrical costs in expanding our infrastructure out there, but we all have to subsidize that a little bit. I guess that's where it's at. So, how long would it take to fix this water plant? We're building a brand new one, folks.
We're brand new, and we estimate 2 years.
Okay.
And so we just need to do everything we can to keep the
working.
The turbines working that pump, that pump the water.
They were built in 42 or 45, and those parts no longer exist, folks. So if it breaks,
it's got to be fabricated from new, and we don't. So there's 6 turbine engines down there. I think there are 2 people left in the southern United States that can work on them, and 5 out of the 6 are working, and so we just hope we can.
What do we do with the property when we move it? Just demolish it?
Over time, it will be taken down.
Okay.
But it'll be done in an orderly development. It won't be the next day after the new plant's open.
Sure.
So
I mean, that's exactly.
And the other thing now, I want to emphasize this: our water quality itself is not impacted by the age of the plant. It's outstanding in terms of the water quality.
I've lived a lot of places. Great water.
It's just being able to ensure that we're going to be able to have water and sustain it. And
you can't make it good if you don't have any water.
That's exactly right.
You can treat it, but you can't treat it without having some water pumped up there. Right. That's exactly right. All right, Chandler, let's go to a 2-minute break, or 2-3 minute, whatever, and we'll finish with the last segment. Thank you guys for watching Between the Lines.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
D-E-P-R.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place, and instead of what you came for, you found this? What would you do? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/know-the-risks.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or Adult Protective Services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
Welcome back. We're in the final segment of our show tonight, Between the Lines, with Mayor Warren Gooch, and we've talked about everything. Now we're going to talk about economic development a little bit. We've got some new businesses. You can't go up to $230 million without some development. Right. So we're going to talk about who's the big story.
Well, there's several big stories, but I think we need to mention TriSoX, which is a new company that determined that they've been started here at the National Laboratory, and many of their employees, major employees, had been here in Oak Ridge over the years. But they manufacture fuel for nuclear electrical plants, and one of their major customers is on the West Coast in the state of Washington. And
that's private and public.
Yes, and what they do is they take low-grade uranium and encapsulate it in graphite. Okay. So in other words, balls, which and so then those are shipped to the utilities that are their customers. Now we competed for this facility against several states. They wanted to do it here all along because of the technology, because of the history working with ORNL, and also just the scientific and
pretty good labor force too.
Oh,
California would too.
Oh, but absolutely great labor force, and the plant itself will be around $300 million. It will be in the Horizon Center.
Sure. For those of you who don't know, on the way to Kingston, on the right as you go out, the Horizon Center is out there in that part of, in that part of the state.
And they've got 110 acres of land, and they should break ground later this fall, and probably probably more like a year and a half, I think, year and a half, 2 years. But of the employees, I think it's going to be an average salary of between $85,000 and $100,000 average salary, and The workforce, I think, primarily maybe half PhD types and half 2-year college.
Technical jobs.
Yes. So, but it's there's no risk from this. Isn't a high risk manufacturing job. It's just there's demand for this fuel, and they can make it.
Is the fuel a new technology?
Well, it's one that's been around, but it's continued to develop, and the demand for it, both in Europe and in other parts of the United States, where they've gone away from, coal-fired generators.
And how many people will be able to buy these graphite balls? Will they ship? How many competitors do they have? Is what I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't know what their competitors are. I just know that they've got existing business, and that's why they had to build this. They had to build this plant. Yeah, and so that's good. There won't be any storage of spent material here, and so it was a big win. There were incentives from the state of Tennessee, incentives from the Industrial Development Board, the City Industrial Development Board, and TVA also. Mm-hmm. So that's one to keep your eye on, because once we have an anchor tenant, and this will be an anchor tenant in Horizon, that tends to bring in others, and we've got I think we've got somewhere around another 240 acres that are available in the Horizon Center. Now, as you move west to K25, which is the Heritage Center, there's increased activity out there, and in a matter of fact, another company, Kairos Energy, is going to build a demonstration project for a small nuclear reactor, and they are being funded by the Department of Energy and TVA in partnership with them, as well as private developers. They've got a lot of private equity funds, and they're building their prototype or their demonstration project at the old K25 site.
Well, let's hope we get a lot of these guys to participate in the community financially, whether it be schools,
Well, let me go back to Pete Papano, who is the president of TriSoX. He has lived in Oak Ridge. He's been active in the community and is a big promoter and advocate for Oak Ridge, and advocated to the extent he could to be sure that Oak Ridge could compete for the TriSoX project.
Well, I hope so, I hope we get an Eastman Kodak 1970s kind of presence from somebody, because we just, we've struggled and we've raised money, and I was very active, and we built a field, which somebody should have wrote a check for to begin with. Upgrade. So there's a lot of stuff they can do, not just that, but academically, and I think especially CNS and Watch, they do a great job with STEM education and helping these kids out. So I'm a big fan of them. So I think we're doing a lot of science work still. But there's other stuff we need too, and we need the money people to participate.
Well, but again, I think success builds on success.
I agree.
And whether it's new housing, because we've got new housing starts, from east to west, whether it's new commercial development, retail development, we've got that happening, and that acts as a magnet, if you will, for other investment coming in from other parts of the country. Equity funds are looking for places to invest.
That's true. There's a lot of money, and they don't know what to do with it right now. It's in banks. It's not in stocks. Trust me on that. Let's talk about Scarborough for a second. It's one of my favorite areas in Oak Ridge. I grew up in
Scarborough 85. Scarborough 85.
I bought T-shirts. I mean, we love it. My friend, I grew up in that area playing ball and doing stuff in the 60s and 70s. And the preschool's now out there.
Preschool is one of the preeminent schools itself. It always has been. It was actually, Oak Ridge was the first city in the state to have public pre-K. And this facility is world class. And of course, the staff and the education has always been outstanding. And so, again, we worked very hard with the Scarborough community to be sure that they were comfortable with the school being put there, and we finally met the commitments that had been made to the community for many years to upgrade the Scarborough Park and other facilities.
The Scarborough, and I'm speaking as a non-resident because I'm a resident of Pine Valley, and then there's Glenwood, and the District 7 of the Commission, which my wife's more familiar with than I am, but Highland View and all these are historic areas.
Correct.
These were the center of the city. This is where it all happened, right? Especially Pine Valley, Cedar Hill, and Highland View, and Wood and others. So Scarborough's part of that group, in my opinion. They're not Emory Valley. They're not West Oak Ridge. They're traditional 80-year type people who invested. So it's an aging community.
Correct.
Just like we are in our 7th district, I live there because I feel like I'm in the middle somewhere, But just joking around. But I really think that I don't know how you renovate that or rejuvenate it, but they have a tremendous pride in their community.
That's right.
And I've worked with several. So I hope that we're investing some money back into Scarborough.
We are.
And I don't know what that means.
And again, I think it's vitally important for Reverend Derek Hammond,
I like Derek.
who's pastor of
Sign,
Valley,
and a city council member.
to be on city council, and so that's and you have to be very sensitive to the folks who have lived there, as you say, for 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. And
even though he's not from here, he has a church right in the middle of there.
Yes.
That's what makes him so
But
valuable.
you have to be sensitive to the folks who are concerned about gentrification of Scarborough. And yes, they want development, but they're also, concerned about losing the quality and the historical basis of their community. And we want to be sure and protect that.
We got 2 minutes.
Okay.
Let's talk about what you want to talk about. What else we got to finish on here? How's Judy?
Well, Judy's fine.
Good.
And our families.
The boys are good?
Boys are fine.
Have we had the South Carolina trip yet?
One is in, we'll be doing that pretty soon.
Every year I call them, I'm in South Carolina.
My youngest son, Matt, and his family will be coming in from Bellingham, Washington, and Ryan and his family will be coming from Franklin, and we'll meet in Hilton Head. I just want to say in conclusion that it's an exciting time to be in Oak Ridge.
I agree.
And it's important that we keep a sense of urgency in terms of working on projects, dealing with issues, working with everyone that we can to get consensus and keep moving forward, step by step by step, 1 foot in front of the other. And remember that we're burning daylight, but we have momentum. And people hear me say this all the time. You can't bank momentum, ladies and gentlemen. You have to use it. And we've got momentum now. We've got new families. We've got new opportunities. It's my great privilege to represent the city of Oak Ridge as mayor, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity and the contributions that all Oak Ridgers make to making this city great.
I didn't get to tell my story about him saving the downtown center. I did last year, but I'll tell it again. We're lucky to have him. Get out and vote. Nothing happens if you don't vote. That means August 2nd, November 1st. Get out and make a difference. Vote for some people. Get active in your community. Hey, I appreciate you. It's Alan Beauchamp with Between the Lines. And we have about how many seconds?
Since the moment you were born, I've made 1,000 wishes. Wishes for your future in a world that's changing fast. Because no matter what you do in this life, what matters to me is that you keep doing.
The life of every child is precious. If you care for a child or teenager with a disability and have limited income and resources, they may qualify for monthly cash payments through the Supplemental Security Income Program, or SSI. Call Social Security at 1-800-772-1213 or visit ssa.gov/SSI Kids to learn more. That's ssa.gov/SSI Kids. Message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is my husband, Alex Hesse. Alex is about 2 weeks away from coming home.
I was point man in foot patrol, and I slept on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
To watch Alex take on this mountain, that's what this is all about.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex has conquered this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
Look at that smile! You did it!
But there's more to be done, and more